In studio is my man Colin Amos from the law office of Goldberg Jones. What's up, Colin?
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you here. You were telling me that you rock. Well, I can't really talk about that on the radio. Never mind. I was going to bring up something. I was like, no, that's probably not a good thing to talk about on this station. But you like the smart radio that will develop your own genres and the type of music you like, so that you can just pull it up and it'll play all these songs you like.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to listen to other people's music all the time. So when you get on that Pandora or smart radios or whatever they have, is you can build your own stations, and from comedy they have all sorts of stuff on there. It's great.
It's Colin Amos in studio with us. We got your list of questions here. Of course, Colin is part of the law office of Goldberg Jones, and if you call 1-800-DIVORCE, Colin will be the gentleman to give you your consultation, and there's no charge for that. He points you in the right direction and will listen to your situation, what you have going on, so that he can help you make better decisions to protect yourself, especially for you guys out there. And we've got questions that we pull from the website every week that Colin gets, and we ask him on air. And we got a good variety. From Portland, it says, my girlfriend and I are breaking up. We've been together for 12 years and have a 9-year-old son. We have a house together and some other property. We can't agree on anything. What should I do since a custody case doesn't resolve our property disputes?
Yeah, I pulled these 3 questions because these are great questions, and they relate to a lot of listeners out there who have not gotten married, who have real-life issues, girlfriends and relationships, kids, and that's happening more and more frequently these days. People just aren't getting married, but, yeah, they have kids and they buy property together. So this situation, it's very real, and this involves a burgeoning area of law called domestic partnership, where it used to be people thought, okay, if you're gay, that's what domestic partnership's about, and that's how you resolve your differences there. But really, it's being accessed by a lot of people with children, with property. They've been together a long time. They didn't get married, yet they're separating. They still have to resolve those same disputes. So in this situation, first of all, he does have a custody case. He's got to resolve the issues of parenting time and child support. But in addition, with regard to the property, he files a dissolution of domestic partnership, and that allows us a forum by which we can have a rational discussion to divide up how we're going to handle the equity in the house, who's going to get the house, how we're going to refinance it, as well as other property that may exist. So that's certainly an important area of law. And when people aren't getting married, there's still many times there's a way to get these things handled.
It's Colin Amos with us here from the law office of Goldberg Jones. If you'd like a free consultation, you call at 1-800-DIVORCE. Next question's from Newburgh. It says, my girlfriend and I have been together for 8 years and are breaking up. We have kept our property separate. The house is only in my name, and we have a common account that we both contribute towards to pay common bills. She says we have a common law marriage and that she is entitled to half of everything, including my retirement. Please tell me this isn't true.
It's not true. I'm not just saying that because it was asked, but this is a distinction that is important. So people out there, again, a lot of people living together. If you act like a married couple, it's more likely after a long period of time the court's going to treat you like that as a dissolution of domestic partnership. Again, having kids, having joint or common property, putting counts together, doing things that a married couple would do. Here, there's some significant distinctions. They've kept their property separate, so he hasn't put her on the deed to the house. They haven't had this joint like a marital account throughout. They've kept everything separate. So it's going to be hard for this individual to establish the fact that they commingled everything or did things like a married couple would do. And so there is no common law marriage, but that's where this domestic partnership comes in. Other states have common law marriage, but not Oregon, not Washington, the states that I practice in.
All right, Colin Amos is here, law offices of Goldberg Jones. Divorce for men, 1-800-DIVORCE. This question's from Lake Oswego. It says, I am thinking about having my girlfriend move in with me. I have significant assets, home, retirement, toys, etc. Is my property safe as long as I don't get married?
And that kind of follows the previous 2 questions, which is why I put it in here, which is not completely. It used to be without this area of law that you could be safe. I just don't have to get married, and it's all my stuff if we break up. But again, similar to the previous question from the individual, keeping things separate, I always like to have, it's not a prenuptial agreement here because they're not going to get married. But if you can, anytime you can get somebody to sign a deal that says, "Hey, that's your stuff, this is my stuff," it's great. But that's tough to get your girlfriend to sign. But just keep things separate. Keep your house separate. Don't put people on deeds. Keep separate accounts. Contribute into maybe a funnel account to pay bills, etc. Just don't put names on all accounts or property.
All right. Next question is from Hillsboro. I am getting divorced, and my wife has told me she's going to take me to the cleaners and get permanent alimony We've been married for 13 years, and I make $65K, and she makes about $30. My friend told me that since she has a job, she doesn't get any alimony. Is that correct?
Well, good news, bad news here. Good news is she's not going to get permanent alimony. In Oregon, they call it indefinite spousal support or spousal maintenance, similar to Washington. But the length of time is a critical factor in determining spousal support. It's very rare that after 13 years, especially if this person isn't disabled or have something significant that impedes their ability to work, that a court would order that indefinite spousal support. The bad news is that just because somebody works doesn't mean they're not entitled to pursue spousal support or alimony. And the disparities of the incomes, he makes about $35,000 more than his wife, certainly puts in the realm of different types of spousal support that he could be on the hook for. So certainly something I'd want to sit down with him, since spousal support is it's not formula driven. It's all up to the court. So we definitely need to negotiate that, and it's worth some hard negotiation up front to get that spousal support taken care of properly.
Wow. All right. It's Colin Amos in studio. 1-800-DIVORCE is the telephone number. The law offices of Goldberg and Jones. The final question here is from Vancouver. It says, I've been divorced for 3 years and see my kids every other weekend, holidays, etc. I have a job that requires occasional travel. Sometimes I can't take the kids on my scheduled weekend. I do give her notice when I have to travel. Can I get in trouble for not having my kids on my weekend?
I'm sure everybody who has children who have been divorced or separated has this problem. There's just things, life comes up. And you would hope that most parents get along and they'd say, hey, I got something coming. Can you take the kids or take my child? And they would work together. But unfortunately, there's some vindictive, angry, upset people out there. And so we get this call a lot. Am I essentially in contempt for not taking my kids? You just don't see the other party pursue a contempt to force you to take your kids on the weekend. It's not very successful, and the court generally will not force you to take the kids. But it does raise important questions of who's responsible. I mean, if there's expenses and things like that. So the answer is no. Legally, it'd be difficult for his ex to pursue something, but she could bring a modification saying, hey, now I have to hire a babysitter on the weekend, now it's your weekend, and maybe bring a modification to increase the cost associated with if these trips are consistent and it's costing money to take care of the overflow.
All right, it's Colin Amos in studio. The law offices of Goldberg and Jones, divorce for men, 1-800-DIVORCE. Why don't you kind of explain to people when they call in for that initial consultation how it works when you answer the phone and you get a chance to talk with them?
Yeah, I encourage anybody to call. We answer questions over the phone at no charge. But whether it's us or another attorney that knows what they're talking about, you want to call because these questions are perfect examples. There's some misperceptions out there about custody or visitation or separation or finances. Why wouldn't you call somebody that does this every day and answer? Get those questions answered so you don't make common mistakes and you can get things handled. So, it's definitely worthwhile to educate yourself before you go through a life-changing event.
Yeah, I did have one question for you. I was watching, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Phil had Terrell Owens on his program, and he was talking about he's got 4 kids, I believe, from 4 different mothers, or 3 different kids from three different moms. But anyways, he was talking about some of the child support that he's paid over time, which has been quite, a huge number.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can get up to around 15, 20 grand a month.
Yeah.
How does that figure out for athletes like that when they're paying this huge amount? Why is that? Why do they pay so much money? Is it just a simple calculation based on their income, or how does that work?
No, that's all beyond the calculations to deviations from the child support calculations, what can happen at least Washington, Oregon, I'm sure other states are very similar, that says, yes, this is what the calculator says based upon your income. But when you get to $20,000 a month or more, it's when you can say, hey, there's additional unusual expenses from private schools. So they can't order private school to be paid for, but they can say these are real expenses, mortgages, running in that neighborhood, so to speak, and therefore this child needs a lot more additional support to handle all these activities and events and things of that nature. So it can be crazy. The one thing that's that brings up is I met with an individual who had 3 different states involved because he had 4 different mothers, 3 different states, 6 kids total, and a case in Washington, a case in Ohio, and a case in Wisconsin. And all the states were taking child support from this gentleman, and he didn't have a paycheck left at the end of the day because they can only take up to 50% of your paycheck, but then you got different states taking up to 50%. There's an attrition rate that can drive you into the ground there, so it can be devastating.
That could provide a little bit of stress, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Colin Amos, thanks for your time. It's always good to see you in studio.
That's good stuff.